And away we go. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, wherever you happen to be in the world today. Welcome, one and all, to Coffee Talk. That is right, it is time once again for Coffee Talk Live, where we will be having some discussion about what is going on in the world today via the national and international news, clips from the news that we will read through and have a bit of discussion with those of you who have chosen to join us in the live portion. And of course, if you were listening somewhere and wanted to join the live portion, you can do so at Coffee Talk or Prepper University at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Friday, and that's at Coffee Talk Live and at Prepper University. You can also find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Coffee Talk Chat, and fistfulofradio.com, podcasting out of Atlanta Monday through Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and Friday at noon. As we get ready to jump off and get going here, of course, I will read as many of the comments as is reasonable for the benefit of those of you who are listening and not able to see. And I'll say hello to some of those people that are popping in now. See, Donna is here, who reminds people thumbs up, like, and share. Yes, please do, if you don't mind. I do appreciate it. Jane is here, as well as Helter, Dragon, Brian, Kimberly is here, H12, Rodney all the way from New Zealand, Fluke Man is here, Gary Edwards is here, as we get ready to chime off. Joined today by little Miss Granny Smith. You can't see her. You might, if you can see, she's like right here, sitting on the printer behind me. She's not really visible, but she's the only feline in the room at the moment. Little Miss Granny Smith, keeping me company as we get ready to take a look at the wild world of the news. Big top news story, which should be no surprise to anybody. We're going to jump to Chicago. Anyone want to go to Chicago? I don't. I already lived in Illinois. I didn't enjoy it. And Tuck is here. Glad you could make it today. NBC News article, Chicago reels from bloody July 4th weekend with 109 people shot, 19 of which were shot fatally. Happy 4th of July, everyone. Chicago was plagued by bloodshed during the long 4th of July holiday weekend, with 109 people shot and 19 killed. There was a total of 74 shooting incidents in the Windy City from Wednesday, July 3rd to Sunday, July 7th, including 3 mass shootings, according to the data released by police. Keep in mind, a mass shooting, what is it? If 3 people are shot, they don't even have to be seriously. Is it 2 or 3? The quota for a mass shooting, and I'm sure someone will look it up and put it in the comments, is extremely low. Because, you hear mass shooting, you think 50 people got shot. No, it's like 2 or 3, and they might have just been grazed. The youngest victim was an 8-year-old, Bryson Orr, who was killed along with 2 female relatives in a shooting at a home in the Grand Crossing neighborhood the morning of July 4th. 2 other boys, 5 and 7, were injured in that shooting. That's unfortunate. On Friday, 8 were shot in a mass shooting in Chicago's Little Italy neighborhood, including teenagers and a 74-year-old woman. Police said preliminary information indicates there was an exchange of gunfire between 2 unidentified offenders who fled the scene. They ain't going to tell you who it was, because they don't trust the police. Last year, 11 people were killed and 62 injured over the holiday weekend, according to NBC Chicago. Mayor Brandon Johnson condemned the violence in a news conference Monday morning, saying, "When this reckless violence ravages across our city at this magnitude, we are losing a piece of the soul of Chicago." The soul of Chicago expired a long time ago. Chicago's been dead. Somebody ought to tell Brandon Johnson that. He's not helping. He's worse than Lori Lightfoot was as far as running the city. And by the way, nice job on all the gun laws in Chicago. They're really helping. They're really helping. And for those of you who might not live in the United States, Chicago, Illinois as a whole, has some of the strictest gun laws in the country, stricter than you find even overseas in many instances. The onslaught of bullets isn't just unique to the city. Violence and mass shootings tend to surge in the summer months, and the 4th of July has historically had the most mass shootings over the past decade, followed by July 5th. Data from gun violence archives show, per the Associated Press. Yeah, that's because you got people out in large groups who don't like each other, and eventually something might jump off. Sorry to tell you. Rodney says Granny Smith's ear can just be seen. Yeah, she's just kind of lounging back there. She likes to sit behind me. Jane says they did hit the thumbs up. Also bought Kitty's fake flipping rainbow trout. Really? I hope they liked them and mailed it to the P.O. box. Well, thank you, Jane. Thank you, Jane. Chillin is here. H12 says thumbs up. And Jane says, wow, Chicago, what a damn. Is it gangs or one nut shooting? No, it's random people here, there, and everywhere. They just lump the numbers together. It's randomness. And Brian says liberals. Chillin says no mention on the race of the injured, missed opportunity, ? No, that's a legitimate question. The areas where that occurred are predominantly black neighborhoods. That's true. They don't tell you that in the article, but that's how it is. Remember, I used to live out there. Okay? If it was a Caucasian person doing the shooting, it would have had a whole different spin, because they would have made it racist. And Rodney says no longer sweet home Chicago. No, not for a long time, not for decades. All People says a majority of the blacks in Chicago host from slaves that migrated from Haiti. There you go. And the Dragon says until they acknowledge the black elephant in the room. Oh, wow. The black elephant, huh? We can never fix the problem. It's not a problem of guns. It's a problem of people. Yeah, it is. It's a huge social problem. It's not the tool. It's the people yielding those tools. It's the people that are using them. There's millions of people that own a firearm, not just in the United States, but all across the world, who they're not looking for trouble. They have it for protection. They have it because they collect them. They have it because they hunt. They have it because they think it's a good idea to just have one just in case for emergencies. They don't want to hurt anybody unless they're pushed, unless they have no choice. That's most people. They're not looking for trouble. But, they'd rather take away the tool. There are a bunch of sheep who see wolves, and they see the wolves' teeth, and they say, wow, teeth are dangerous. Let's pull our teeth out. And then you have sheep who are toothless, and the wolf still has his fangs. Jane says Chicago, Detroit, and Oakland cities scare me. Yeah, I don't blame you. And Fluke Man says, I never see left-wing talk about all the innocent lives saved by legal gun owners. 5% of shootings are those defending themselves from criminals. Something like that. But when they talk about shootings in general, they lump them together. It's something I've covered in a discussion a long time ago. A couple of years back, I did a video talking about some of those statistics. I think I was talking about Stacey Abrams and exposing the lies in one of her commercials. She had a commercial with a nurse who was not a nurse. She was actually an actress, saying that shootings are the number 1 child fatality in Georgia, which is a lie. It's actually vehicular homicide. Mostly traffic accidents are the number 1 killer of children ages from 0 to 18 in everywhere in the United States, quite frankly, not just Georgia. So I dug up those statistics and I used them against that commercial. I showed the commercial and talked about it. Some of you might remember that. But if you look at gun statistics as a whole, they lump all shootings together. So shootings that were malice, like some of the incidents being talked about in the Chicago article, where it's like gangs or angry people, are lumped together with police officers having to shoot someone, lumped together with suicides because it's a shooting. If you shot yourself to commit suicide, lumped together with shootings and self-defense. They put it all together and they give you one big number, but they don't tell you what those numbers actually are. And a lot of that came out in that discussion. Helter says politicians who continue to ignore the problem and not deal with the outcome control crime. And a lot of people don't want to hear that because they think if you get rid of all firearms, that somehow the world will be safer. And, you know, go to any country where firearms were taken away from everybody and see how things turned out for them. To see how things turned out. Didn't go well. Now, this is something we were talking about at the end of yesterday's discussion, and I wanted to jump back to it real quick, just to warn anybody new coming in. Moms Across America is where this article comes from. This is not an easy article to come by. Brian wants to know, aren't most gun deaths caused by suicide? I don't remember which one was the biggest factor, but suicides is up there. And you're not going to stop suicides, of course, by taking away guns. They'll just do something else to themselves. They'll swallow poison. They'll take pills. They'll hang themselves. Something. The gun's just convenient. And a lot of, actually, more often than not, they botch a suicide with a firearm. I don't know if people realize that because, you know, even though they're determined apparently to kill themselves, they're so scared. You can screw that up and just wound your head and end up in the hospital in recovery. That does happen quite a bit. And Super Chat says, found you again after getting unsubscribed for some time. How have you been? The beard is new. Yeah. Oh, wow. That happens a lot. Are you on Prepper University or Coffee Talk? That happens quite a bit. I hear that from many people. That's why I've stopped doing regular videos so often. Nobody sees them. ScrewTube has really, really crushed me on both of those channels. Again, if you look at Prepper University, the last video I put out, I think it has like 400 views. There's 67,000 subscribers on that channel. Nobody got notifications, and it's not in the feeds. They're just crushing the channels. And Jane says, you're right. I had some contact. Someone contact me from Harvard College study doctor wanted to know when read medical records, does doctor tell you why gunshot occurred, a crime or domestic violence or public incident? But back to this article here. We were talking about appeal, and if you can see it, for those of you who can see, for those of you who can't, it's A-P-E-E-L, appeal, as in peeling a banana. And appeal is a coating that's being sprayed on fruits and vegetables, produce, that has been FDA approved, Canada Health approved, EU has approved it, the WHO has approved it, and this stuff is not necessarily a safe product. And Jane says this is when patients come into the ER, want to know why the shooting happens. They do lump it all together. So this article is talking about appeal fruit and vegetable protective coating is not so appealing when you break it down. Who remembers back in the day when they used to coat fruits and some vegetables with wax? They would put that on it to keep it fresh because the wax is non-toxic. It's just wax. You can rinse it off. You can peel it off. It doesn't hurt the fruit. You remember that? They don't do that anymore. And this article is mostly opinion, but getting to the point here, they take this quote from Appeal's website that I'm going to read. It says, Appeal keeps produce fresh for longer thanks to the help of a little extra peel. Our plant-based protection slows water loss and oxidization, the primary cause of spoilage. Appeal is composed entirely of purified monoglycerides and diglycerides, edible compounds that can be found in a variety of foods. They are safe to eat as verified by regulatory authorities around the world, including the Health Canada, the United States Food and Drug Administration, and the World Health Organization. In fact, they can be found in products designed for the most sensitive populations, including infant formula and nutrition shakes for the elderly. That's scary. And they go on to explain what monodiglycerides or di and triglycerides are. It says composed of glycerol and either one, two, or three fatty acid chains. As a form of fat, they can either be saturated or unsaturated. Both mono and diglycerides are often extracted from plant and animal sources and are used commonly as a food additive to emulsify, improve the texture of, and prolong the shelf life of processed foods, such as baked goods, margarine, mayonnaise, ice cream, nut butters, frozen meals, and processed meat. Problems with this. The problem is that it's considered to be plant-based because they're using, I believe it's grape skin extract, but it's also got polymers in it. It's using like inorganic oil-based product. Let me catch up a couple of comments here real quick, and we'll get back into this. Fluke Man says, look at London. You need to have special privilege to own guns in the UK, but thugs use knives in its place. And now we have strict knife laws, but kids are still killing each other. Exactly. Steak knives are the weapon of choice, if I'm not mistaken. New York Patriots used with that coating looks like rubber when it's cut up. Yes, that's correct. Kimberly says, I remember it kept them shiny, talking about wax. Dragon says Bill Gates and the FDA aren't concerned at all about human health. Nope. And Cyberjack Sr. is here. Glad you could make it. Tuck is amused by the quote edible in that. Yeah. You know what else is edible? Crayons. Crayons. Naval lint. Helter says health science is advancing at an alarmingly quick rate that everybody will suffer from health-related issues. The thing is that because it's mixed with other chemicals, it penetrates the skin of the fruit all the way to its core and alters its molecular structure, which was just mentioned here. It was just mentioned here by New York Patriot. It makes the fruit or vegetable like rubber. And I've seen video footage, and I encourage you to go ahead and look it up, where someone will peel a banana and they'll bend the banana and you can actually touch the ends together because it won't break. You have to. But even a fruit or a vegetable that is very soft, like a banana, you can just break sections off if it's a normal fruit. But it's been altered so much by these spray-on compounds. It says in addition to the chemical residuals from catalyst and neutralizing agents, heavy metals are also found in this compound. Reading further into the article, palladium, arsenic, lead, cadmium, and mercury. It says short-term exposures. There's also ethyl in this, by the way, ethyl acetate and hexane. It says short-term exposure affects the central nervous system as well as the brain and can cause headaches, dizziness, confusion, nausea, clumsiness, drowsiness, and other effects similar to intoxication. If exposures are high and occur frequently over months or years, effects on the brain can be long-lasting and permanent. I just don't understand why it is Bill Gates hates us all so much, wants to kill everybody. Bob, 67, says there was a shooting in Walsall, UK the other day. And Rodney says gun bans over here only affected law-abiding citizens. Criminals laugh in the politicians' faces. And of course, Rodney is in New Zealand. And that is true. Everywhere that they ban the guns, it doesn't stop the crimes. Jane wants to know, does the FDA monitor Chinese and Muslim grocery stores in the U.S.? I'm not sure. They encouraged us to breed for cheap labor. Now they don't need us anymore. Nope. They don't need you. They got robots. They're making robots to do everything. And Jane says, so glad I do not have any more little children to monitor in so many ways: food, clothes, TV, internet. Mine are grown and doing their own thing. Seems productive, working and college educated. And one more here. Loyal Tangi says they got plastic kiwi the other day, had zero moisture inside, looked perfect to the eye. And Tuck says hexane is just spicy vitamin E, right? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. And Flukeman says, did you say in one of your previous podcasts plastic made from corn oil is toxic? There's a video saying it's biodegradable. I said that the corn, you can make plastic out of any kind of oil. Like you hear sometimes there's plastic that's made from corn. That's biodegradable, and it's not really a problem. But they don't do it because it costs more than using polymers. It costs more than using plastic that's made from oil compounds. That's what I was saying. That's what I was saying. So where can you find the fruits and vegetables? Where should you watch out for them? Okay. The partnerships, which, by the way, this is connected to Bill Gates. It was mentioned in the comments earlier. This is another Bill Gates project. Project Killamoff. Remember Dr. Killamoff? Who knows who Dr. Killamoff is? See if anybody's paying attention. The partnerships are Nature's Pride, Sage Fruit, Del Monte, Echo Farms, Del Rey, Horton Fruit Company, RV Aggregates, Alpine Fresh, Beta, Farm Direct Supply, La Venta, and Sycar Farms. And there's others. You know, they're coating avocados, asparagus, limes, tomatoes, leafy greens, cucumbers, raspberries, citrus fruits. They also use Edipeel coating, EDI peel, that has, and there's more produce that'll be added in the future, and you can find these products. It should be marked. It should have a green stamp on it with a picture of what looks like a peach or something, and it says appeal. So watch out. Don't buy those. Really don't. You can find those at Costco, Trader Joe's, Gelson's, Ralph's, Sprouts, Vaughn's, Walmart, of course, Whole Foods, who ought to know better, Kroger, Harps Foods, Wakefern, Price Right, Fairway Market, Target stores, and Bristol Farms, and more to come. I can't tell you not to eat it, but I can warn you. I can warn you that it's probably not a good idea. Tuck says he remembers Dr. Claw. Dr. Claw was from Inspector Gadget. And Jane thinks I'm talking about Dr. Kevorkian. You're wrong. Helter got it right. Helter gets a kudos point. Dr. Killamoff is the arch enemy of the Toxic Avenger. He wears a mask with 4 arms and has a purple suit. That is correct. Dr. Killamoff was the nemesis from the Saturday morning animated version of Toxic Avengers, as opposed to Toxic Crusaders, which is like gore porn. Toxic Crusaders is hard to watch, which had spin-offs, Nukem High and Nukem High 2. But the Toxic Avengers was actually a really funny Saturday morning show. Really funny Saturday morning show. But while we're on the subject of farms and produce and things like that, showcasing here again, really quickly, we're going to jump to Michigan. We're going to jump to Michigan, where they are also tormenting small farms for no apparent reason. Article by Green Building Elements. Michigan farm raids spark concerns over the government taking away private dairy rights. So in a recent video on a NASA TV hosted by Charlie, it skipped, hold on a second, Charlie Rankin, the issue of government overreach in regulating private dairy due to pandemic concerns was brought to light. Rankin highlighted a disturbing trend in increased government control over private dairy operations, citing a specific incident at Hidden Creek Farm in Michigan. This development has raised significant concerns about the future of private dairy rights in the United States. They want to crush all the small farms and make them all industrial. That's the problem. They don't want you to be self-sufficient at all. Rankin detailed an unannounced visit by the Michigan Department of Agriculture and Rural Development to Hidden Creek Farm, which operates a cow share program. And it does tell you what that is, in case you were wondering. In a cow share, individuals buy into the ownership of a dairy cow, giving them rights to the milk produced. The arrangement allows people to obtain raw milk directly from the farm. The visit by the Michigan Department of Agriculture was particularly troubling because officials sprayed unidentified chemicals on their vehicles before entering the farm, raising biosecurity concerns. The lack of disclosure about the chemicals sprayed on them and the manner in which MDARD officials conducted their visit raised serious biosecurity concerns for the farmers at Hidden Creek Farms. Rankin emphasized the importance of biosecurity on farms, especially when dealing with raw dairy product. The introduction of unknown chemicals without proper disclosure poses potential risks to the health and safety of the farm operations and its herd share members. This is what's going to get weird about it too, is MDARD, Michigan Department of Agriculture and Rural Development, has no jurisdiction over this type of dairy farm. I'm pretty sure. Let me keep going here. Rankin expressed concerns about the broader implications of such regulatory overreach. He pointed out that while MDARD typically does not have jurisdiction, there it is, over private herd share agreements, their actions suggested an attempt to expand their control, and this has significant implications for access to raw milk, which many people rely on for perceived health benefits. So they had no legal bearing for even being there, but forced their way onto the farm and sprayed their truck with an unidentified chemical in the first place. And I did to MDARD's website to find information, anything linking to that. And according to them, they don't spray their trucks with anything. So that's very fishy. Also, they say perceived health benefits. Well, how do you think people drank milk all the way up until the 1930s? You know, I think the homogenization homogenization process was invented in the late 1800s, very end of the 1800s, and was brought to the United States in the early 1900s, pre-World War I, but it didn't go into mass production until almost like 1940, I think. You know, and if I'm wrong, you please correct me in the comments section. So it hasn't been that long we've been even doing it. And the process of homogenization is supposed to kill unwanted bacteria in the milk, but it also kills the healthy bacteria in the milk. And it reduces all of the natural vitamins and minerals in the milk, which the dairy farm then artificially reinserts in the milk after it's been homogenized. So they kill the milk and then they pour chemicals in it so that it's not worthless, basically. And gee, I don't know how we got on for eons drinking raw milk up until homogenization was invented. How did we survive? I just don't know. Drinking raw goat and camel and sheep and cow milk and whatever, what have you, even donkey milk, for God's sakes. And Monkey is here. Glad you could make it. Jane says, what? Oh my, leave the cow udders alone. H12 says they want total control over all the peasants. Exactly. Exactly. That's exactly what they're doing, is that they're trying to have total control. They're trying to crush these farms. I remember years ago watching a documentary, I've mentioned it before, about raising chickens, and that there was a guy who had an organic free-range chicken farm that only had like a couple thousand chickens on it. And he's up the street from Purdue, like a few miles away, but he's called Purdue operation that has millions of chickens stuffed in these pens. And there's some rule about not having more than 5,000 parts per million of bacteria. And he said the FDA, he knows for a fact, they never go to the Purdue farm, but they come to his farm every week and test his chickens. And his are like at roughly 500 parts per million or whatever in the blood. as opposed to 5,000. But you grab any Purdue chicken, and he guarantees it's over 10. So why does the FDA always coming around bothering him on his farm? Because they're trying to crush all of these small operations. Dragon says our government doesn't care about our health. No, I don't think they do. Some lobby is pissed off because people are eating healthier foods over crap. Big money trying to shut independent farmers and ranchers down. And Shashakila says pasteurization kills everything. Rodney says homogenization or pasteurization. Which one? Homogenized or pasteurized? And H12 says just plain cleanliness goes a long way towards safety. Yeah, if there was any health concerns with the milk originally, it was probably due to unsanitary containers that the milk might have been stored in. Helter says the government doesn't care about the health and safety of the Michigan people. It's about monopolies. And Fluke Man says, why would anyone need to spray chemicals on the vehicle before entering a property? That's their question, and it's a good question, and they won't answer it. Like I did go to Michigan Department of Agriculture's website, and they don't say anything about it. They don't say anything about it. Jane says they can only drink almond milk. Cow's milk makes them ill, but did try buffalo yogurt and that it's good. And H12 says they're not allowed to have chickens in their town. And the government plays games with you like this too. You've heard me talk about it in Illinois too. Before we left Illinois, and we lived in Kane County, which is adjacent to Cook County. Some people had chickens, and they regulated it. They took away your right to own chickens. And then everybody fought about it because they were pissed off. It was like, I'm not getting rid of my chickens, Jack. I've had them for years. I get my free eggs, whatever. Why are you sticking your nose in my business? So to, quote, fix the problem, what Illinois did was they made a regulatory law about the chickens that you could own the chickens when you bought a permit now. So basically, you took away someone's rights and sold it back to them, but you didn't change anything. You didn't change any of the existing rules. That's just dirty. That's just dirty. Shashakila says, just went through Hurricane Beryl eye wall for 6 hours here north of Houston. We were very lucky. Your beard has really grown since I was last year. Yeah, my wife likes it. She says she wants me to get to ZZ Top level with the beard. But glad you found us again, Shashakila. And H12 says, just think of all the germs in the car. Who knows what they sprayed that car with? Who knows what they were doing? And one more here, and I'll move on. Jane says, I was driving down Ponce de Leon here, and some family had 6 chickens in the front yard, and in Tucker, Georgia, and people had like 10 sheep in the backyard. Yeah, there's a lot of places where they don't interfere with you. But they've been tightening the reins. They've been tightening the reins. Jane says, don't some people raise chickens and sell eggs? Yeah. Yeah, they do. I don't know how well that works out, but, I see no problem with somebody owning a couple of chickens and just having fresh eggs every morning. I don't see a problem with that. Leave them the hell alone. Most people just want to be left the hell alone. And the government won't do it because the government's real job is to farm its people and regulate them and push them around. Fox News article. I don't know if you saw this. Teachers union president who gave viral off-the-rails speech has visited Biden's White House over 20 times. I do believe she was there 24 times. President of the largest teachers union, who was mocked over the weekend for giving an off-the-rails speech, has visited the White House dozens of times during Biden's presidency. White House visitor logs show the National Education Association President Rebecca Pringle, who delivered a viral speech over the weekend that drew intense criticism, visited the Biden White House at least 24 times between 2021 and 2024. Now, why is that significant? This is a person who claims to be anti-establishment, but clandestinely is very establishment. And I can't even say clandestinely because she is very vocal about it, as you can find in her quotes. So getting down here, it says, during NEA's annual meeting and representative assembly in Philadelphia over the weekend, Pringle called for transformative social justice change in the education system in the pursuit of equity. So much for being anti-establishment, and you just happen to go to the White House 24 times for private meetings. Quote, to unite not just our members, but the nation to reclaim public education as a common good, as the foundation of our democracy, and then transform it into something it was never designed to be, a racially and socially just and equitable system. We worked hard to rid ourselves of a tyrannical, deceitful, and corrupt White House, but the reality is that the seeds that were sown during that horrible season continue to germinate. She's making a reference to the Trump administration. She continued by vowing to protect public education and said that we will fight privatization, we will fight vouchers, we will fight any and all schemes to drain resources from our beloved public school system. Taking stabs at school choice. Pringle, who donated $2,800 to Biden in 2020 and $500 to Biden's Victory Fund, said the union's work must be about electing people like Biden and Vice President Harris, promoting to re-elect them this year. She also said the union is pro-diversity, equity, and inclusion, a controversial concept that has sparked backlash at colleges and K-12 schools and all levels of government and private companies across the United States. So she says she wants to work against the government, but then goes to the White House 24 times, wants DEI programs in the schools, wants social justice in the schools, and wants to fight voucher programs and privatization. So basically, do what the government says, be good little peons, be good little slaves to the system. God forbid a parent is in a state where they have a school choice voucher program and they're like, you know what, no, I do not want my kid to get its traditional public school education because I don't like it, I don't trust it, I don't think it's efficient, which it isn't. I don't believe that it is. I want the tax money that you took from me back in the form of a voucher so I can send the kid where I want them to go to school. And she's against that. She's against that. H12 says they used to sell eggs at the butcher shop where their husband worked. Flukeman says government can just make fake news about bird flu to get rid of your chickens. True. And many flocks are, it's funny how often flocks are culled right around the season, especially like Thanksgiving or something like that. And they want us killing millions of birds and prices go up. Eventually, resistance is useless unless you fight the fake news until you have no more fight in you. And H12 says, never got sick from our own eggs. And Brian thinks that equity just means less white. And Monkey is here. Monkey is here. All People says equity is the opposite of equality. Equality is about being fair. Equity is about cheating and robbing. And Tuck says Sharpton Jackson are anti-big business until the business cuts them checks. Yeah, I know. Remember, Al Sharpton is the guy that used to advertise a check cashing national syndicate. Remember? He was in commercials for, I believe it was a check cashing syndicate. Correct? The last thing that you need to be going to. You know, advanced check and you pay 15% back. Promoting it to the black community, and those services only take advantage of people. Rodney says leftists require control over education so they can indoctrinate children into their cult. Correct. But yeah, she's under fire for those comments now. She's under fire for those comments, and as she should be. But remember, she's the president of the largest teachers union in the country. Another diversity hire, another good old boy, as they used to say, for the establishment. Another good old boy for the establishment. It's really rather sickening, actually. And as I've pointed out before, I don't think unions should be political. I don't think unions should be involved in politics. I don't think they should be donating to politics or promoting people in the political arena. Presidents, governors, mayors, senators, whatever. They're supposed to be representing the employees that pay their dues, pay their fees. I don't see it here. I don't see it here. And Jenny has joined us. Glad you could make it today. New York Patriot says, sell the eggs to hipsters and yuppies as organic and watch how things change. No, because it's dirty, because it came from like your backyard and stuff. It's not clean unless it came from like the supermarket and stuff. And it's been sprayed with like Bill Gates' special formula to make it like all safe and things. Meanwhile, in public school, since we're on the subject of public school here, you may as well talk about the Satanic Temple. This kind of stuff really pisses me off. It's not religion that you need to protect kids in school from, it's politics. And these are very political. Believe it. They're very political. Fox News article. Satanic Temple members volunteer in Florida schools in protest of DeSantis' push for religion in education. So because he wants religion, or he's stressed religious education in public schools, remember that the idea behind the separation of church and state is supposed to be to keep the state out of the church's business, not the other way around. That's been flipped in recent years. People don't understand the difference. So he wants religion. So now the church, the Satanic Temple wants to run interference. Why? Satanists are ready to volunteer in Florida schools in response to Governor Ron DeSantis' push to integrate more religion into the state's public school system under a volunteer school chaplain program that went into effect last week. Members of the Satanic Temple, or the TST, say they are ready to serve as volunteer chaplains under a new Florida law that took effect July 1st, allowing volunteer school chaplains to provide support services and programs to students. Lucian Greaves, I doubt that's really his name, co-founder and spokesman, told Fox News Digital that should a Florida school district seize on the opportunity to introduce a chaplainary program into the schools, TST will be happy to participate. When passing the school chaplain bill into law, Florida's bloviating, incompetent, culture war-obsessed Governor Ron DeSantis openly lied to the public and stated that satanic chaplains would not be allowed. He told Fox News Digital, in the depths of his ignorance, he fails to recognize a basic and fundamental constitutional truism. It is no place for the government to dictate that some religions have certain rights over others. And this is a quote from Lucian here. And it won't work. I'm going to tell you why. First of all, he's doing it completely to be political. He's just being a bastard. Okay? And that's what these guys do. It's like atheists who they're not content just be atheists. They have to go and rub it in your face and get on people who have a religion and get on their case and give them a hard time. Oh, you're stupid because you talk to an imaginary friend when you pray and all this other stuff. They just can't help but be political and nasty. Here's where this is going to fail. Here's where this is going to fail. Because the Satanic Temple has already declared that they are more of a club and not a religious order in a previous lawsuit. So which is it? You're a religious order or you're not? Because they're split from, I believe, if I could be mixing them up. The Satanic Temple is split from the Church of Satan because they're not religious, quote, according to them. So if you're not religious, then you're not clergy, and you can't participate. Checkmate. But unfortunately, they'll be in court for 2 years to get to that point. Shashila says, yeah, the parents need to choose. That's right out of there. Chase that crap right out of there. Yeah, they do. A parent should have the right to choose. Gary Edwards says, one God monotheism, many gods polytheism, no gods atheism. And Shashakila says, isn't that an old article? I think DeSantis squashed that Satan bug. No, this was published 9 hours ago, according to the timeline. 9 hours ago. Although he's been button heads with these guys for a couple of years, so I wouldn't be surprised if it looked that way. Damien says, not everyone is a Christian. To have the Bible in school only is unbalanced. If you let the Bible in, better give the Torah, Quran, and the Satanic Bible equal time. And Fluke Man says, if the sheep eat small farm local eggs, would wonder why they taste so good, fresh, clean, and smell different. Back to our farming discussion there from a minute ago. And Tuck says, congratulations, Satan Club, you played yourself. And Gary Edwards remind us that with organized religion, the higher the monkey climbs the trees, the more you see his ugly side. Yeah, no kidding. And the more he'll crap on you. Dragon says people have knee-jerk reactions to symbols, but no understanding of what's behind them. No, they don't. No, they don't. No, they don't. And we've been getting a lot of questions recently about our good buddy here. Let me see if I can pull that off without screwing it up. Hold on, let me pause this. Pause. There we go. Our good buddy RFK Jr. You remember RFK Jr.? You know who that is, right? RFK Jr. See if I can get that. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. RFK Jr. Hold still. Oh, it jumped. Hang on, guys. I got to fix this. With probably one of the fakest promo shots I've seen in a while. I'm trying to set this up for you so that I can play it. But it's hold on a second. I'm having trouble setting up the setting for this. This is really, really staged and really phony. And I want to share it with you. Mr. Kennedy, that's right, Damien. Mr. Kennedy with his staged snake wrangling here. You're about to see. And I'll explain it for those of you who are listening and not able to see what I'm talking about here. But here we go. Mr. Kennedy is going to start his snake wrangling. Let me pop that open. There we are.
Hold on, guys. I'll be back in a flash.
So, in the middle of a fake interview, and by the way, that rattlesnake's not even rattling. That sound effect has been added. Okay? They added that sound effect.
Only you.
Amazing.
That's amazing. Oh, yeah.
Now it's not rattling, right? What happened to the rattle? Here it comes. Yes. So we're supposed to believe that he's just in the middle of an interview, and then there just happens to be a rattlesnake in the driveway, and he has to rescue everybody by running out there and grabbing it. Okay. Yeah. And then does the
Angry in there. I don't want to talk to him. Yeah, Cheryl, bring me a military help.
No, honey, I don't know. I'll watch it here.
These are beautiful snakes.
you could have left it in the bucket. You don't need a pillowcase.
Look at these rings.
And he used a
Oh my
fish
God.
tank net,
Put
to
him in
catch it.
here.
and he's showing because he says he handles snakes all the time, right? If he handled snakes all the time, he would have done that correctly and safely, which he did not. Kennedy for look at that, Kennedy for
See
president.
just what you two have learned. Yes.
None of that was safe. None of that was safe. A pool net? Oh, I handle rattlesnakes all the time. Then why don't you have the right tools for it? Better yet, you're in a house, okay? I'm going to assume that there is at least a fake fireplace in that house. Does not the fireplace have a poker and a set of tongs? That would have been much better tools for that. And if you already put it in a bucket, you don't need the pillowcase. You could have put the pillowcase over the mouth of the bucket. You didn't need to dump him back out and screw with it. That's very dangerous and stupid. I'm pretty sure that snake was already fixed, was already set up so that it wouldn't be dangerous. Oh my God. Let me catch up a couple of comments. Oh, I got more for you because it gets worse. I got more for you. Monkey says that's some CCP level of propaganda. Tuck says that's some high level cringe right there. That reminds me of remember the old image of Putin riding the horse shirtless? Who remembers that? Rodney says reminds me of the pre-whacked snakes Mayor Quimby had in the Simpsons episode. That's right. I do remember that. And Jane says it looks fake. Yeah, that's so ridiculous. Monkey says bravely fighting a dangerous animal when he said animal is a pet that's been trained. And Gary says they're still talking about the symbolism there. New York Patriot says none of that was safe and none of that was real, but he gets an A for effort for trying to stay relevant after he was railroaded by his own party. I mean, I'm not claiming to be a snake expert here, but I have had to handle them. I am in a wooded area. I have had to snatch up snakes before or move them. That was handled very unsafely. He didn't use the right tools. I'm sure he claims to do that all the time. Then he could have found the right tools, and he didn't. You could have found something. Hell, salad tongs. Anything. See, the net from the fish tank. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. The net from the fish tank. I got another one for you that you thought that was bad. I got another one for you. Hold on. Because I'm having trouble expanding this window correctly again. So just give me a second to set this up properly rather. And Jane says, just tuned in. How is the weather in your part of the country? Very, very warm. Very warm. Fluke Man says if he's handled the stuff all the time, let him deal with a wild grizzly. And Monkey says, if you want a rabbit hole of fake propaganda stuff, check out what CCP produces that tries to be like, see, we care about our people, unlike the U.S. Let me open up this next one. I'll try to get it set up properly because it bounces around and I can't Can't get it focused right. And I want to make sure it's properly expanded. Here we go. I got it now.
There was a friend of hers lives here, Dr. Nick, and he's having problems with the snake. I came here to...
You hear it now, Cyberdeck King?
How you doing? Good to see you. Hey.
Now, what he just claimed to the camera is that he has a friend that lives down the street that's having a problem with a snake and called him because he's a snake expert and he wants him to help him. And dude comes out hippy dippy here, barefoot and holding spices, and wants Kennedy to smell it.
Oh, that's Alex.
We found this snake that's all cut up and it needs your help.
It's a gopher snake.
You want some clippers or something? Or?
Let me see. I think I can do this.
So you found a snake.
I saw the tail and then I realized it's all caught up. So Nick calls your daughter and then here you are.
Maybe call my daughter.
Well, I know that you're a snake aficionado.
Yeah.
It was an easy one. So here you are to the rescue.
These scissors are a little small for my fingers. They're Cheryl scissors. Don't tell Cheryl. This poor little guy.
Oh my God.
You don't have any bigger scissors, do you? Yeah.
I want to stop it for a second. I want to make a couple of points about this. And Joe Doe says Kennedy got caught in South Dakota with heroin and pleaded guilty in 1984. I wouldn't be surprised. And Kimberly says payday loans, when they were legal in Georgia, the charge was 25%. In Kansas, it was 15. It was 15. And where are we here? Kimberly says that 25% every 14 days. That sounds correct. But it was 15% then. Now, so this guy is afraid to found the snake tangled up in some kind of netting, okay? And is afraid to touch it, so calls Kennedy to the rescue. But even though he's afraid to touch it, somehow he got it into that trash barrel. And so, you know, Super Kennedy comes with a pair of scissors and cuts the snake out of the netting so that it can be free again. And I'm like, you know, this is totally staged. That is totally freaking staged. Okay. But also, it's a great opportunity for an animal rights activist to get after him, because implying that it's staged also suggests they deliberately tangled the snake up in the net, which is a threat to its life, because it could choke itself in the netting, which means that he violated an animal rights code so that he could do this short. Rodney says RFK is reaching levels of cringe that shouldn't even be possible, but Tuck thinks it's less cringy than the rattlesnake clip, but it's still cringy. So yeah, Kennedy to the rescue. Oh, I call. I don't know what to do. Yeah, I can't. You see what I'm saying? This is ridiculous.
Wow.
Thank you so much, Bobby.
Wow.
Oh, thank you.
That was really cool.
Uh-huh.
You gonna stick it out in your garden?
Yeah, you know what? I'll put them up in the... Let them out of the mountains. I'll tell Cheryl about this. I'm going to put it back as soon as I release him. She'll never know that.
Yeah. Fluke Man says, how would a snake tangle itself? It got caught in the net, man. It didn't see it. This is some really, as the term now that everybody loves to use, cringy. It is cringy. What a stretch to try to act cool and relevant. That is incredible. That is incredible. And Monkey says, reminds me of people that randomly finds a dog or cat injured. Yeah, I know. Because, I mean, I've found injured animals, but it's not my instinct to start filming just then. I might show after the fact, like you've all seen the black kitten by now, and I've held him up even here and shown his little paws are healing because his paws were burned. But I didn't show him when I got him. I didn't show the kitten for like a day until after I got him because I wasn't thinking in those terms, you know. But yeah, you got to wonder if those animals were planted, and I'm pretty sure these snakes were planted. I don't believe it. I don't believe for a minute that they that those snakes just happened to be there when he was being filmed for an interview or some other BS. And Monkey says when the person recording did that to them before recording. Yeah, emphasizing on his previous quote. But with that, I will go ahead and sign off because we are at the top of the hour. Again, you are listening to and or watching Coffee Talk, and you can find the live portion Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on @Coffee Talk Live and @Prepper University on YouTube. You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, @Coffee Talk Chat, and fistfulofradio.com, podcasting out of Atlanta Monday through Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and Friday at noon. Let me see if I can throw. There's that Amazon link again because people were asking. So there it is. I will go ahead and sign off. Thank you, everybody who was able to join us here today. Hope you got something out of the conversation.